Hello and welcome back to the track, and today we're going to talk about, can Lewis Hamilton still win the Drivers' Championship in 2026? I don't know why I said it like that, but a few days ago I made a video asking if Ferrari actually have a shot at winning the Constructors, and that got me thinking, if Ferrari can win the Constructors, then surely they can win the Drivers. More specifically, can Lewis still win the Drivers' Championship, and more importantly, his 8th. Let's talk about it. But before we get to lights out, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and away we go. All right, look, there's a lot of moving pieces here, so let's break them down. I want to start with something Max Verstappen said a while back. We're not doing great, it's just that the top teams keep making mistakes. And honestly, it's hard to argue with that logic. Mercedes have been dealing with a lot of reliability issues the entire season. When I look at the title fight, I really only see 3 names: Lewis, Kimi, and George. George, I have to include him in there because he's high enough in the standings and he's driving the same car as Kimi, so I feel like I have to put him there. But as we'll get into later, I don't think he's in the same position mentally as he is, as Lewis or Kimi are. We also got one of the canceled races back with the Malaysian Grand Prix, or the Bahrain Grand Prix in Malaysia, or whatever the hell they're calling it, which means there are now 12 races left, maybe 13 if Formula 1 finds a replacement for the Saudi Arabia race. Now Lewis is sitting 58 points behind Kimi. That sounds like a lot, but over 12 races, maybe 13, it really isn't that many points, especially when Mercedes are constantly dealing with reliability issues. On Monday's video, I talked about how every weekend either Mercedes or their customer teams are running into all of these reliability problems with the engines, or whether it be deployment issues. It doesn't matter what, there's an issue, and all of those mistakes will add up at the end, which is why I feel like this championship is completely wide open, and Mercedes have left a lot of points on the table lately, and Ferrari need to capitalize on that the same way that Max did against McLaren, but better. Let's break down the drivers here. Let's start out with George. The last few races are a perfect example. He retired after losing power and crashing out with Hamilton in Spa, and then he had a clutch problems in the next weekend where he stalled, and then the engine breaks, water leaks, DNF, books, retire the car. He can't catch a break. And George isn't a bad driver. None of these guys are, except for Stroll. But George has got the car. I'm just not convinced he's got the mindset right now. Part of me thinks George expected this season to be like how it was when Hamilton was his teammate, where they favored the vet over the rookie, and that's honestly the standard in F1, with the exception of the rare cases when the rookie just absolutely blows smoke past the other competitor. And he's just showing George up. I think that's a saying. But George even came into this year as the favorite. Toto Wolff was praising him after that first win in Australia. I mean, it honestly looked like this was gonna be George's to lose, and it honestly looked like we were gonna see a brand new George Russell, and we didn't. Not since like race 2. Kimi, second year, within only a few races, he's become the bigger story. We've already started hearing the usual comments and rumors whether George and Kimi have the same equipment. Every time a young driver arrives and immediately performs, those conversations start to develop, and it's happening right now. Look at Prost and Senna, for example. Prost believed that the team was working against him, and that's obviously simplifying a much bigger story back then, but it shows how quickly these situations can get into a driver's head. If George can get out of his own way, I think he can absolutely become a contender, but right now, I don't see that happening anytime soon. And if you disagree, let me know. I want to see how many George Russell fans are out there trying to prove a point. Now let's talk about Kimi. I don't know about you guys, but every time he says, he like genuine shock whenever he says that. I just wanted to mention that. I thought it was funny. Let's not forget, he's a kid. He's seeing all these shiny things in front of him. Kimi has the speed. He has the car. He has the confidence, but what he's lacking is the experience. And I think that is going to matter more than people realize, especially this season. Last season, we saw him start incredibly well, and then during the European leg of the season, he started to fade out a little bit, wasn't having the best time, and wasn't as consistent as he was at the beginning of that season. And this year, I was kind of expecting the same thing from him, but not exactly what we got. He still did struggle a little bit, but not as much. Now, all of this was very much expected. Let's not forget, he was 18 years old at the time. He was doing double headers every other weekend. At some point, there were a lot of sprint races that got added into the calendar. He was still in school. So all of that pressure, it would make sense to get to him, you know, and lose that concentration that he had at the beginning of the season. And that's completely normal. He was a child, let's not forget. He can't drink in the US, but he can go 200 miles an hour down the Vegas Strip. Make that make sense. This year hasn't been as extreme yet, and he did reasonably better this year in the European leg of the season. However, this year compared to last year, I think the second half of the season was going to be his biggest challenge yet, if not ever. After the summer break, we go straight into a triple header. Then about a month later, we have 2 triple headers back to back, and that's going to be brutal on him. And that's without accounting for the one race that hasn't been added back to the calendar that could turn a double header into a triple header. Now we're looking at 4 triple headers on the second half of the season. That means that we're talking about 3 to 4 triple headers in a matter of 2 months. It's going to be brutal. And I'm not saying he's definitely going to struggle. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if we see him lose some momentum, if not all of that momentum, which would be worse. And this can happen. By then, Ferrari will have an even stronger engine than they have today. Now, if Kimi comes back from the summer break and wins 2 out of the first 3 races, then everything might go his favor. But as things stand today, I have a hard time believing that the second-year rookie, you know, his second year, that he could get through 3 months like this without making any mistakes. The races coming up reward experience. That's the one thing that Kimi doesn't have. The speed's there, the confidence there, he's fearless. There's no doubt about that. That's why he's leading the championship, but experience still matters. I mean, just ask Fernando Alonso. He's going into his, 40th rookie season? But now let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, often imitated, never duplicated, Lewis Hamilton. That was good. And all of this is exactly what I think is setting up Lewis to have a banger end of a season. George can't seem to catch a break. Kimi is about to go through the toughest stretch of the season. Lewis, he's been doing this for decades. Triple headers, double headers, championship pressure, managing tires, knowing when to attack, when to sell for points. That's something that he's going to use to his advantage here. This is what decades of experience get you, that no amount of money can buy you. Ferrari have finally given him a car that he's comfortable driving. The season didn't start out the way that he wanted it, but he's already fought his way up to second in the standings ahead of George. And here's something worth thinking about. If this is Mercedes championship to lose, why don't they have a 1-2? Reliability issues. And if you have the best car and you don't have a 1-2 because of reliability issues, you should be 1000% concerned, because those ADU upgrades are coming for Ferrari. And so that's only going to help him in the busiest part of the season. We're about to run 12 races, maybe 13 in only 3 months. For comparison, we only had 11 races between March and July. This could be what causes Mercedes to lose the championship. Between Kimi not having experienced this yet and knowing that he's going to have to deal with a lot of pressure, George not being all the way there, the engine not being where they necessarily want it to be as far as the reliability goes, because they have the power behind that engine. Mercedes need 2 things to happen at this point. First, they need to decide who they're backing. Second, they need these reliability issues to go away, because if they don't, Ferrari are in a great position to slowly creep up and chip away at the points. And as far as I can remember, Ferrari have not had reliability issues, and neither have their customer teams. So we know that theirs is the most solid. We know it's not the strongest, but it's the most solid. And at the end of the day, I'd rather have the more solid engine over the fastest engine that could break. They just need to keep improving the chassis and continuing developing the car, which actually I'm pretty sure the chassis is like close to the end of its development. So they're really about to focus a lot of their time and energy on these engines and the ADU upgrades. And if they do that right, it's only a matter of time until Lewis passes Kimi, because he already passed George, and it's only a matter of time until he passes Kimi this way. So yes, I think Lewis can 1000% still win the drivers in 2026. You have a second-year rookie entering one of the toughest stretches of the season, a teammate who still hasn't found his rhythm, and a 7-time world champion driving a Ferrari that keeps getting better and better and better and better and better every weekend. I don't think Lewis has a chance. I think he wins it. Maybe not by much. Honestly, probably not by much. It probably would be by like maybe 10, 15 points, 20 at most. I think it's going to come down to the last race or the last 2 races. And I think that there are more things working against Mercedes than there are working in favor of Lewis. And that's what decides this championship. But if Lewis really does win his 8th title, what happens next? And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on Friday video. So make sure you guys subscribe to the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment what you think, who you want to win this year's Drivers' Championship. And until next time, box. Also, let me know if you guys... Also, I might start out the video with this. But let's just think about this for a second, okay? You have Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion, leaves Mercedes. Teenager comes in, takes his seat because Toto thinks that Lewis is just past his prime. So then Lewis writes a nice letter on the paddock room in the Silverstone track, and it's this beautiful story of the GOAT passing the torch onto the young one. And the crazy thing here is that Lewis Hamilton lost his first championship by a few points, and then he won it in his second year. Now the same kid who took his drive in Mercedes could repeat the same thing he did. I just realized I wasn't looking at the camera, I was looking at the screen. But he could repeat the same thing that he did and become a driver's champion on his second year in F1. If Kimi manages to accomplish this, holy fucking shit, this story, he literally passed him the torch. Lewis Hamilton literally said, here is all my power and take it. Take it back, Louis. Take it back. Bucks.